So, being perfectly honest, I wasn't actually going to be reviewing Blood and Guts today, but the stars have aligned for me to cover this show. I hope you enjoy. Please hit subscribe if you want more wrestling content from FTTR. Now, let's get into this. Hello and welcome to FTTR. I am Ewan McQuaid, and today we are talking about AEW Blood and Guts 2022, the second instalment of the Blood and Guts stipulation that has its own sort of like show now. It's sort of built around, it's like a super show on TV, a TV special, if you will. Got there in the end. But this is going to be my review of the show. I'm going to talk through every match, every angle, everything that happened on the show, and let you know my thoughts on the entire thing. So shall we just jump straight into it? This episode of AEW Dynamite Blood and Guts kicked off with Orange Cassidy taking on Ethan Page. Orange Cassidy coming off that fantastic match with Will Ospreay at Forbidden Door, and this match was pretty standard. You know, it followed the sort of basic TV match template in that, you know, Ethan Page worked over Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy would get a few hope spots to get shut down by the more powerful man. Now, what gave this a few more wrinkles and made it stand out a little bit more was the aspect of Dan Lambert kicking away the best friends because they don't have a manager's license to be at ringside. I'm sure he can talk to a lot of people in AEW about that. But yeah, so they weren't in ringside. Instead, Dan Lambert was there. Dan Lambert getting heat from the crowd, which was good. And the match was sort of built around Orange Cassidy trying to hit a power slam on Ethan Page. Then it kicked into its second gear when Orange Cassidy hit all these big spots. He hit his Tornado DDT, he hit his Orange Punch, he got a great ending spot with Dan Lambert where he misted Dan Lambert in the face with orange juice, which was fantastic, really good stuff. And then he hit the Orange Punch and a power slam on Ethan Page for the win. So it was a very solid TV match. Orange Cassidy's got new music. I'm not too familiar with that track, actually. I think I actually preferred the Pixies that he had. I really liked that. I thought it was sort of got the crowd riled up a bit more when he comes out. But that might change. And yeah, Orange Cassidy won. Best friends have a hug. Solid way to open the show. Then we got maybe the best thing in all of wrestling right now, and that's Christian Cage. Christian Cage comes out and he cuts a promo. He digs himself deeper with Jungle Boy saying how all his family should wish he was dead. And it was, oh my god, Christian's going like full bad guy with this character. Everyone except Jungle Boy's mum. And then he did the thing, which was just fantastic. He's brilliant as this heel character. And he was coming out for a match, but he was in street clothes. And he then went on to say that the match was not for him. And out comes Luchasaurus with new entrance music, very reminiscent to me of Kane's, sort of like the opening theme. And he's black. He's got black gear. He's got a black mask. He looked so badass, like really badass. Maybe it just looked so different that I was so into evil dark side Luchasaurus, which is what we apparently have now, the team of Dark Luchasaurus and Christian Cage, which I think is going to be an absolute money act. And Luchasaurus had this match with Serpentico where he demolished him. It's all that needs to be said, apart from the fact Luchasaurus won with a snare trap variation of Jungle Boy's finish. Beautiful stuff. Can't wait till Jungle Boy's back and this feud just keeps going. I think it's going to be amazing. And let's add a little bit of fantasy booking here, because this is my theory on how this is going to go. I think it would be a great parallel if MJF feuds with Christian, because you've got the sort of dynamic of Christian wanting all that money. He said he's only in it for the money. He's one of the ex-WWE guys who's come in with the big paychecks. And now it's a perfect mirror image of Christian and MJF sort of those two and Luchasaurus and Wardlow and how MJF was this entire time, this could potentially kickstart MJF babyface run going up against Christian, and I think it'd be fantastic to see. And then maybe, just maybe, the stars align somehow and the pillars unite. That's what I'd like. Even if it's just Jungle Boy and MJF, a babyface MJF. I think that's potentially where it's going. If MJF's all good, unless maybe they've got other plans, but that is what I think is going to happen. And I'd be very excited if it does. Then we got the Gun Club and the Acclaimed taking on Danhausen and two mystery opponents. And Max Caster's rap was okay. I didn't think it was like blow away, oh, that kind of thing. And Danhausen comes out. He says he's found two partners who can apparently wrestle. It's none other than FTR, the best tag team in the world at the moment. They come out with all their belts and they look fantastic. They're absolutely draped in gold. It's perfect stuff. They had a fine match. They had a perfectly fine match. Danhausen got the win for FTR and Danhausen, of course. Then we got an angle. So the finish came when Anthony Bones got out of his wheelchair to a pretty big pop, accidentally hit a member of the Gun Club, and Danhausen got the win after being hit with the crutch. And then it seems Billy Gunn sides with the Acclaimed, who pushes away the two other members of Colton and Austin Gunn, the Gun Club. He pushes them away and seemingly sides with the Acclaimed here, and it seems like it's the breakup of this unit, which I think is a shame, because I think they really got over, I think, these two. The whole Sesame thing, I think, was really cool, and it's just, it'd be a shame to break these guys up, even though they hardly ever win. No. But I think, I think it's a shame if they break these two up, but I'm interested to see where it goes. Then we got a Jay Lethal promo hyping up Death Before Dishonor, which he's facing Samoa Joe. This is pretty much the same thing we've seen for a few weeks now. I'd like this to progress a little bit more than just Jay Lethal calling him out. And then we got Jade Cargill versus Layla Gray. This was a borderline squash match. Jade Cargill looked great. It was more about the angle afterwards. So she won very quickly. It was a pump kick into a Jaded for a win. And Stokely Hathaway gets on the mic, Jade gets on the mic, they talk trash about how no one wanted the open challenge, everyone's too lazy. Out come Athena and Chris Statlander. They sprint down to the ring really quickly. Athena hits this amazing drop kick on Jade. But then Layla Gray, who Jade has just beaten, gets a little talking to from Stokely Hathaway on the outside, and she joins the fray to beat up Athena and Statlander to sway the beat down in Jade's favour. I thought this was quite nice, quite cool. I liked at the end that Jade and Layla weren't on the same page still. It looks like it might have just been a one-off thing. Maybe Layla will be sort of inducted into the baddies further down the line, but I thought this was a fun angle. And yeah, I think they're doing a pretty good build to Athena and Cargill, which I think will be good. And I think Ember Moon will take the title off her. Then we got a Young Bucks promo in which they hyped up Rampage. They are facing Yoshihashi and Goto. One of the, I'm not quite sure how it's pronounced. But one little line in here was that they said all their friends are gone. They haven't got Bobby, they haven't got Kyle, they haven't got Adam. They said, oh, we've got one more friend. And then they quickly change it to say, yeah, the belts. That feels either Hangman leaning, maybe we're finally going to get the implosion of the Undisputed Elite, and Hangman and the Bucks versus Red Dragon and Cole, but everyone's injured. The only other tease may be Kenny, but a lot of the stuff that's come out about Kenny over the past few days, probably not. So I'm interested to see where the Bucks go and who's next for them. I think that'll be fun whatever they do. And finally we had the Blood and Guts match. This went about an hour. It was the last hour of the show. So we got Jericho Appreciation Society. They come out, they're all dressed in red with like fedoras, red fedoras. I think they look fantastic together. The costumes they have are brilliant. Then we got everyone from the Blackpool Combat Club making their entrance. And the first two that start the match and get into the two cages, Sammy Guevara and Claudio Castagnoli. I think it was a brilliant idea to have Claudio Castagnoli as one of the first guys. And they had, fun encounters, lots of uppercuts and stuff like that. I thought that was really great. And then Cesaro, oh God, that is going to be hard. Claudio goes for the big swing and is interrupted as... Who entered next? Daniel Garcia. I'm going to be checking my notes a lot in this. I do apologise. Daniel Garcia enters next. And then the advantage sort of falls to the Jericho Appreciation Society as they start, wailing on Claudio, not Cesaro. And yeah, Claudio sort of brings it back in their favour, hits a lot of uppercuts again. He hits the, duo one in one corner, one in the other corner. Uppercut. And then in comes Wheeler Yuta. Wheeler Yuta hits a parade of German suplexes on, I think, Daniel Garcia. Like Brock Lesnar levels of German suplexes. And then that sort of evens the odds a little bit. Following that, Hager comes in and he has a great stare down with Cesaro. Get a "We the People" chant. And yeah, Hager's pretty over when he's facing off with Cesaro. I think that was one of the coolest bits of the match, actually. It was a really good stare down. Then out comes Mox, and Mox just gets every sort of kitchen utensil you can think of and destroys Daniel Garcia. He uses a fork, and Daniel Garcia, I think, was the first one to get busted open. But by the end of this match, everyone was busted open, and he's just bleeding down the face. I think from a fork, because of course. Then Matt Menard comes in. He gets a few good spots. He's followed by Ortiz, who comes in. And then we get a really brutal spot in which Moxley gets some skewers and just stabs them into Matt Menard. And Matt Menard, again, is proper bleeding. Everyone's bleeding at this point, I think. There's just blood everywhere in this match. Then in comes Jericho. Jericho gets, his good spot, and you can just see Eddie Kingston on the side who's just seething. His face is just an absolute picture. And it's... the way they built up to Eddie Kingston getting in, I thought was fantastic. I thought it was really, really well done. And then Eddie finally comes in. He comes in with a kendo stick, and every member of the Jericho Appreciation Society runs towards him, and he just swats them with these kendo sticks, trying to get to Jericho. It was literally like something out of a horror film, like Jason Voorhees coming towards you, because you could not stop Eddie Kingston in this state. And he wails on, I think, Matt Menard with this kendo stick. He just clubs him with it until it's gone. And then he gets Jericho in the corner and just finishes the rest of the kendo stick on him. It was fantastic. And Eddie Kingston pulls out it's like rubbing alcohol, but he doesn't get to use it. I think it ends up outside somehow. It must have fell through, because then Ty Conti had to sort of push it back through to Jericho, which didn't particularly work. They had to cut away from it because it was taking too long, which was a little bit funny. But it was cool. And at this point, Wheeler Yuta and Mox have basically covered the ring in thumbtacks. It looks mental. I don't know if this came before or after the pile driver with the glass, though. A member of the Jericho Appreciation Society got pile drivered into glass. Potentially Garcia, I think. I don't know if that... I think that was before, though. So there's so many spots in this match, I'm missing them off. But cover the ring in thumbtacks, and Mox hits an X-plex, sort of upwards suplex throw-out thing, the kind of thing that Pete Dunne does, onto these tacks. And Matt Menard's back is covered, absolutely covered in these tacks. It looks gruesome. At this point, it got really, really nasty. There was so much stuff going on. Then Ty Conti runs round and she opens the cage. She decks a ref, opens the cage. But then Ruby Soho comes down, starts beating up Ty Conti. They brawl to the back, but Jericho's able to slip out and he climbs to the top, followed by a smiling Eddie Kingston. At which point I was like, oh God, someone's going off the top. So they both go up, they brawl. He hits the Hurricane on Jericho. Sammy Guevara comes up. Sammy Guevara is the one to take the bump. He gets thrown off the top of the cage through the timekeeper's area. Brilliant. Really good stuff. This, obviously, it's going to be compared to the previous Blood and Guts, I think this looked a lot better because it wasn't as clearly a mat, if that makes sense. It genuinely looked more like sort of just stacked tables, which again, it kind of looked out of place, sort of. I don't know when they set it up, but it looked out of place when you saw it from a high shot, and you're like, oh, okay, it's completely safe. But you didn't really see it beforehand, so it sort of felt okay. I preferred this spot to the previous one. I like the way the previous one played into the finish, but this spot itself was better. Then Claudio climbs to the top of the cage to join Eddie Kingston, as does Matt Menard. Claudio hits a big swing on top of the cage, and my heart skipped a beat. I was like, oh my god, that doesn't seem safe. That doesn't seem okay. But yeah, he hits the big swing on Jericho. And then Claudio gets Matt Menard in the sharpshooter, and Eddie Kingston gets Jericho in the stretch muffler. And they're both wrenching back on these submissions. But Matt Menard taps to Claudio's sharpshooter, and his music plays. Eddie looks confused because he wanted this win on Jericho, and following that he just looks deflated as Claudio essentially stole his thunder. At least that's what he thinks. Claudio's just doing it for the betterment of his team and betterment of the match. But the personal animosity between Claudio and Kingston, I think this was a fantastic finish to sort of further that feud, and this match accomplished numerous things. It furthered that feud. It made Mox look great because Mox looked fantastic in this match. And it put a really good closing chapter on the Jericho Appreciation Society Eddie Kingston feud. Don't need to see them continue at all. And Kingston can move on to sort of greener pastures with Claudio. And then following that, everyone, apart from Santana, who was apparently injured during the match, which is, oh my god, another injury. Seriously, mental. Absolutely mental. The all pose on the top of the cage. I think, personally, maybe it's recency bias, I think this was better than Blood and Guts 1. I think there's more sort of memorable spots in this one than there were the first one. And I think the storytelling between Kingston and Claudio was a bit more effective than the storytelling between MJF and Jericho in the first one, and it didn't have the stigma of the poorly shot ending, if that makes sense. So overall, I thought Blood and Guts was a really good show. I don't think the Blood and Guts matches have delivered to the same caliber that I think some of the NXT TakeOver War Games matches have, but it was a solid 2 hours of entertainment, 2 hours of wrestling entertainment. It was something different, something unique, and yeah, overall I give this show about 4 stars, 4 out of 5 from me. So let me know your thoughts on the show down in the comment below, and I'll try and reply to every single one of you. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.